Hey guys, Ben from KCT back again here with the gun reviews you can use, and today we're going to look at something a little bit different, and that is the E-Mag. So if you're familiar with Magpul's products, and if you're a shooter you probably are, you know that the mags that they make, the PMAGs, have been outstanding since their inception. So they did a lot of different things, and we'll kind of look through a few of them here. We have a couple different specimens, like a windowed M2. And when I say M2 or mix it with Gen 2, please don't crucify me in the comments, guys, or do so. So it's up to you. So we've got the M2 here, the windowed. Then we have the M2 standard with no window, just got a little Ranger plate on the bottom there. And then we have the M3, so the newer one, non-windowed there. And then we have the M3 windowed. So you kind of take a look at all the different options that those provide. And then of course, the E-Mag itself. So just a little bit of history on the E-Mag. One of the big things that Magpul wanted to do was to sell magazines overseas to NATO allies. That's making some noise. And they were contracted to make these things, specifically for the SA-80 and a couple other 5.56 weapon systems that were not used here in America generally. And one of the interesting things about this is, of course, it is almost entirely featureless. There's no nubs, there's no gripping surface, there's no indentation, there's no paint dot matrix like we'd see on the later M3s. So why? So the interesting thing is, if we look actually back here at this poster, which I probably can't see the individual things, but Magpul have been advertising this since around 2010, and they're pretty rare. I've only seen a couple of them here, besides the ones that I have. And my understanding is why they made these things so featureless is you didn't know what kind of magazine pouches that somebody was going to be using in a NATO scenario that is not a standard U.S. Army, USGI, whatever issue pouch. And so if they put a bunch of stuff on there, they put a bunch of ribs, and then they sell it to a country, and they say, hey, we can't use these because they stick in our soldiers' gear. That game over. You're done. You're not going to get a second chance at something like that contract, most likely. So that to me explains why they took these things and they kept them so featureless. It does make it a little bit harder, obviously, to pull out of pouches without all those ribs and things. Hence the Ranger plate there, makes it a little bit nicer. But what I wanted to talk about is this is kind of the generation 2.5 of the Magpul PMAG. So let's go ahead and we'll look at sort of the generation 1. We'll look at the 2.5 kind of, and then we'll go to the M3s. So to start, just your standard PMAG, it's just been painted. And you're all familiar with this. There's no paint dot matrix at the bottom because it does say PMAG 30. Back in the day when they would say all that kind of stuff, or would say mag level. In the case of, nope, they still just say PMAG 30 on the quote unquote mag level. I think by the time that these were rolling out, they stopped calling them the mag levels and just windowed PMAGs. So this, it has the Ranger plate on there, and this goes on from the front. So you'll pop the floor plate off, slide this on the front. There you go. Same with this, which again is really the 2.5, but with the Generation 3, you have different Ranger plates because that floor plate slides off the back. So it's sort of an interesting step between the two, that they still kept the same floor plate orientation. So it does make these compatible with all the original floor plates, and obviously not the M3s. So if we look at the windows, really not a lot has changed. It's pretty much the same. The little divots there that they use to get out the plastic, and it's probably very hard to see, but are a little bit less pronounced than they are. See that there? See those two little dots? A little bit less pronounced there. No big deal. So the window sizes remain pretty the same. As we go to the M3, again to the M2, same thing. You know, you're not really getting any different size or different shape. It maybe does look a little bit straighter because obviously there's no cross hatches, no gripping surfaces. The lugs up front that keep the mag steady and the magazine well are the same through all the different iterations. So if we take an M2 PMAG, you can see that those are the same. And then if we go to the M3, you can see that those are the same as well. So if it's not broke, Magpul's not going to fix it. It works. It's been working for years. Why do anything else? So what is also interesting is in the original PMAGs, there's of course no texture on the front. Of course, it's paint right there, but there's no actual texture. Where when we look at the Generation 3s, we can clearly see that nice bit of texture right there, aiding you with that gripping surface. And then of course also along the spine. Again, with the M2s, there's no gripping surface along the spine, just the same ribs that you're used to throughout the magazine body. So, if it uses the same floor plate as the M2s, and the windows and all that are the same, and it doesn't have the texture and gripping surface like the M3s, why is it sort of the 2.5? The big thing is this. When the M3s came out, Magpul was all about this, the over-insertion stop. Because with certain guns, and certain guns are maybe out of spec, or certain types of guns, if you slam a magazine in on an open bolt, sometimes it can press up further than it's supposed to go, and then the gun will have problems stripping the next round off there. So obviously a serious problem to have, obviously something that they are keen to correct over the previous models. But again, we don't have that on the M2s. So theoretically, you could push this as far into your gun as you could if your magazine catch didn't stop you. In this case, they're saying, okay, we know that this is good, this distance here. We just want to make sure people can't override that distance and move the magazine out from where it needs to be. So there's the over insertion stop. Now, that is interesting and it's awesome, but obviously it limits things a little bit. There are certain guns, namely a lot of bullpups. I guess I shouldn't say a lot, but some bullpups have issues with this, where they're not set up to have anything sort of stopping that insertion of the magazine. I've also seen certain trigger guards that get in the way. I know Strike Industries went through and revamped, I believe it was their Cobra or Fang trigger guard, and made that M3 compatible, M3 friendly. But I know the original one, I think, had some clearance issues with that. And then also some of the billet lowers that you'll find can have some issues with that, especially if they have like the integrated trigger guard or like a funny shaped magazine well, things like that. So always, I would say, best to try one of these things to your gun before you buy it if possible. See if your buddy's got some. Spoiler alert, they probably do. And try that beforehand. So, why is this 2.5? Well, if the rib, the over insertion stop here is the big thing on the M3, it's also present on the EMAG. And so when this came out, Magpul was like, hey, check this out. This is the new thing. We just did this for the M3s. Because we sell these overseas and you probably don't see a whole lot of them. But this is where the over insertion stop came from, because with certain things like mostly the LED5, which is just a jam machine, they would need something that would stop this magazine in the proper place, especially for worn out guns, guns with receiver issues, things like that, guns that have been around for years, especially military rifles, training rifles, things like that, that are all beat to hell and probably out of tolerance. They started putting that on those magazines to make sure that the magazine was stopping that gun where it needed to. And of course, because it did, it became a lot more popular than a lot of like the aluminum magazines, the Stanag magazines you'd see typically equipping NATO countries. Now that being said, I've not seen that these are super prevalent. They're not something that I see if I look at anybody overseas. I don't see this all the time, probably not even half the time. So how far this went, I mean, I know that they did have a very, very large contract to get those into some hands of some NATO people. But beyond that, I really don't know how much the other militaries actually use these. And again, in any gun that will take one of these, you can use one of these. And so when I saw them, I knew I had to get a couple. So I just ordered a few from this Mid-South Shooter Supply. So they were really good. Got me a couple of them. They were pretty cheap. I think the original ones they wanted like $20-something for back in 2010. I think these were like 16, something like that. Also in that 2010 poster back there, they advertised the 40-round windowed PMAG coming soon, which of course never materialized. They just have the straight non-windowed one. So that's the kind of the history there, or at least design philosophy behind the EMAGs here, and why they sort of give you a very, very important generational covering that gap between the M2s and the M3s. So a lot of the features that you look at on the M3, they were already done by the EMAG. Now, obviously, with the base plate that comes off to the back, and the gripping texture on the spine and the front, and then obviously with the ribs on the body here, that's all PMAG. Nothing to do with the EMAG. Same over insertion stop. You will notice, however, and I don't know if we can show this here, but the magazine releases are subtly different. They're more pronounced, or I'm sorry, the magazine catches, my bad, are slightly different. It's more pronounced here on the Gen 3, and not really so much at all on the EMAG. So there you have it there. Again, the guts are pretty standard. I'm not going to sit here and strip these things down. If you've got an EMAG, you know what's inside of it. So pretty standard fare. And again, they take all the accessories that you would find on a Generation 2 PMAG. And of course, they give you that little window. Now, I have seen one rare goose, and it is an EMAG with no window. And I've looked for it, and I've searched for it, and if anybody knows anything about them, definitely comment below. I want to get a couple of those. I do like to collect weird, strange mags. I was talking to somebody from Poland today about the MSBS mags, I think they are, for the new rifle that they're developing over there. But they're like $30 to get to America, so yeah, it's pricey. But anyways, so that is pretty much the EMAG in a nutshell. You're going to find the same type of follower. Of course, you're going to say M3, in this case 5.56. I fired 5.56 and 300 blackout through these things. Not a problem at all. They work great, as every Magpul mag should. But yeah, other than that, guys, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, definitely leave them below. And we'll have a pinned comment post that will have links to the blog, links to the discount sites, things like that, which will be affiliate links. And yeah, all that wonderful stuff. Now, I'd like to say that I'm like Grand Thumb, and I'll say I have nothing left for you. And then I have something for you. I want to just say a quick shout out to, I believe it's Chris from Small Arms Solutions. Now, his channel is way bigger than mine, I understand. If you are watching this and you don't know about Small Arms Solutions, go ahead, look it up on YouTube, subscribe, period. That man has forgotten more knowledge about the AR-15 than you'll ever know, period. I mean, I've never talked to anybody or seen anybody go through stuff in the way that he does, with the depth and complexity. He used to work for Colt. He does technical manuals and things like that for a lot of the guns out there today. And he is astounding. I mean, I think I know quite a bit about the platform, the history, and the development. Nope. No, he has it hands down. It's awesome. So definitely you want to go ahead and check that out. So anyways, guys, thanks for sticking with us here. And we'll have some more content coming up for you as soon as possible. We were going to be also doing a review on the King Arms magazine extension for the M2 magazine 30-rounder, and that is awesome. So you guys will see that coming up here before too long. So I'll get to set it up and send it out there. Guys, comment, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. Thank you, everybody that's provided constructive feedback so far. It is a new channel, it is a growth channel, so definitely appreciate the fact that you guys are looking out for us and giving us some pointers and making us be better for you guys, because that's really the goal. So all right, guys, you have a great rest of your day. Be safe, stay accurate.